Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. Our top story here at 5:30, the Oregon Health Authority is narrowing which mental health providers are eligible for full Medicaid payouts. And now, 2 weeks into those changes, providers are pushing back. Thomas Schultz has the details.
I spoke to a psychiatric nurse practitioner who says that these changes coming from the Oregon Health Authority will have a big impact for providers and lead to drops in payments of sometimes 10 to 20%. He says these changes also came with just a month's notice. That's a big problem for his practice in Eastern Oregon, where 60 to 70% of his patients are on Oregon's Medicaid program. The Oregon Health Authority is also narrowing who is eligible for full behavioral health payouts. They say the changes are meant to counteract increasing costs and to ensure only providers who offer team-based care will be eligible to receive full payment. Those are providers who have things like peer support workers, specialists, and case managers. Still, Trevor Ratchko, that nurse practitioner we spoke to in Pendleton, says those are roles that bigger organizations have. At mom and pop shops in Eastern Oregon, he says many providers don't have a staff large enough to fill all those positions.
It disproportionately affects anyone who's rural. I would say anyone who's outside of a major metro area, in fact, because you see less of these services out in those areas.
Still, the Oregon Health Authority says the changes are meant to improve care for people in its system. Still, nurse practitioners and providers like Trevor Ratchko continue to push back and are taking it up the food chain in the state level. Thomas Schultz, KGW News.
In the debate over transgender athletes, the U.S. Supreme Court has heard 2 cases brought by transgender students. The challenges in West Virginia and Idaho. They challenge laws in those states rather than bar them from girls' sports after both had won lower court injunctions letting them compete. The ruling, when it comes, could impact the rules in over 24 states. During the hearing, a majority of justices seem likely to uphold the state restrictions on transgender athletes in girls' sports. Meanwhile, Oregon and other states are suing the federal government again, arguing an executive order puts funding at risk for some institutions to provide health care to transgender people. Catherine Cook explains.
We need everyone in any kind of position of power to be fighting against these anti-trans legislations.
Advocates applauding Oregon, which just joined 11 other states suing the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Oregon's DOJ claims the federal agency conditioned hundreds of billions of dollars on whether or not states agree to engage in anti-trans discrimination. In a statement, Oregon AG Dan Rayfield noted under a new HHS policy, recipients of federal health, education, and research funding must certify compliance with an executive order from President Trump that, quote, seeks to deny the existence of transgender people and impose rigid, unscientific definitions of sex.
I think right now the trans community is very scared. We're very angry because this isn't just about holding us hostage. It's about erasing us. It's about erasure.
Joelle Kim is interim executive director at the Q Center. She's grateful that Oregon is joining the lawsuit, but feels the emotional weight of those whose health care hangs in the balance.
Trans folks specifically should have the right to make decisions about their own bodies and about the health care that they're receiving. And so when that's limited on a federal level, it really does affect every individual, even in a safe place like Oregon.
Washington Attorney General Nick Brown also joined the lawsuit. The 12-state coalition is asking the court to declare the policy unlawful and block HHS from enforcing it. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
A former Westland doctor accused of sexually abusing patients during exams is now facing 5 additional charges. That brings the total number against David Farley up to 16 counts. The Oregon DOJ, which is investigating Farley, says the new charges represent 2 additional patients. One of them was younger than 14 at the time of the alleged abuse. Farley was first criminally charged in October, though some patients filed a civil suit against him in 2020. New tonight on the Oregon coast, a 3rd-generation farming family recently lost 5,000 chickens because of contaminated feed. Libby Dowsett shows us how they are now humbled by their neighbors and their community.
The Myers family says at one point this field was full of chickens, 5,000 of them. Eggs were nearly 50% of their business. Now they just have about 30 chickens left. Chichapika girl.
I sort of froze. I was in a bit of shock, actually.
These are the survivors, a few dozen chicks who didn't eat the feed, which got wet during transport and grew toxic mold.
It really felt like this year would be our year of victory. Like, oh my gosh, this is our payout, this is our payback. And it's not looking like that.
Nearly $250,000 worth of chickens gone. It took the urging of their kids to go public with the news.
I'm stubborn and prideful, and I didn't want to ask for help. Third generation, 65 years we've been on this farm, and so we have predecessors to pay. I have bills that I have to take care of, and I can't do it without help.
As we spoke to the Myers family by their cows, a neighbor dropped off some cash.
It's not $100 from my neighbor, and it's just there's been a line of them.
These things really bring out who loves you and what matters.
The Myers now even stronger together, hoping new chicks will bring a new beginning.
We beat so many odds, but maybe we'll beat this too.
The Myers family has set up a GoFundMe page that's already reaching well above $13,000. We have a link to that on our website, kgw.com. In Nehalem, Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
Still to come, much ado about transportation. A look at how Oregon lawmakers could sort things out. Plus, Multnomah County rethinks millions, why that could mean closing shelters and where the money would go instead. Matt?
All right, David, thank you. You know, transportation in the Cascades right now is great because of the clear sky and the incredibly warm weather above this valley fog that we're staring at, right? But we're going to tap into the warm weather. Maybe not 70s, but we'll clear the air tomorrow.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Could the third time be the charm? The Battleground Public School District is once again asking voters to pass a schools levy after attempts last April and February both failed. The district says the levy would collect nearly $190 million over 4 years and fund student safety, smaller class sizes, special education, and more. That levy will appear on a special ballot on February 10th. Well, meanwhile, Oregon lawmakers are trying to get ahead of the short session. It includes considering a bill to create a transit funding task force, one that would look at different ways to fund organizations like TriMet. It turns out the last transportation funding package, it's known as STIF, was created back in 2017.
If your annual salary is $50,000, you currently pay about $4 per month for the STIF program. And your $4 is kept at the local level because it is directed to the transit agency that provides service for the area where you work.
Democrats approved doubling the payroll tax for this last year, though that is now on hold, as we've been reporting, and will appear on the November ballot. And while the idea for the task force bill advanced yesterday, there was still some pushback, specifically when it came to TriMet.
Before the transit districts started receiving the payroll tax funds, they delivered nearly 30 million more rides per year than they do now. So if we want to talk about wrong direction, that's the wrong direction.
The short session begins on February 2nd. In Multnomah County, some homeless shelters will soon be closing, it appears, in order to prioritize more permanent housing. Blair Best takes a look at the debate.
Money meant to address Multnomah County's homeless crisis has been a point of contention for years. This new 175-page report suggests different ways to spend it for better results.
Our goal is to make sure that people exit homelessness as a whole.
Between July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, the county's Homelessness Services Department reviewed 31 24/7 shelters paid for by the county and city of Portland. The findings point to closing some shelters and using that money for housing programs instead. It's unclear how many shelters would close, but the report suggests more people would be housed that way without raising costs amid budget cuts.
It's really important that we don't just warehouse everybody in shelter, so we have to be sure that we have some dollars available to do housing placement out of shelter.
I don't think that that's necessarily the most beneficial way to utilize those funds.
Simone Sherwood works at county-run shelters. Here's where she hopes to see the money go.
Definitely anything mental health related, if there's any detox centers, treatment.
Resources are finite, and so there isn't enough money to do everything.
Alicia Hovanes runs Sunstone Way. That's the group operating this county shelter set to close in March.
We're good at housing people that are housing ready, but there's a growing number of folks that come into all of our shelters each day that need far more support than what we're able to give them.
The report found the average cost for a shelter bed in 2025 was $46,000. In that same year, the county spent just under $10 million to house nearly 600 people, roughly $16,000 per person. The question now, will closing shelters mean more people on the streets?
That's a very real concern I have. There could be a risk of you reduce shelter and you don't get an increase of people moving through. And if you don't get an increase of people moving through and you reduce shelter, the outcome will be more people on the street.
We need beds, we need placements. Outside of the very few shelters that we have, most of their options are to the street.
That's Blair Best reporting there. Matt's back with us now. I wish this fog, it feels a little suffocating. I wish it would just kind of float away.
Yeah, and it's not going to float away, but it will get mixed out and get blown away tomorrow, which, whatever way it happens, right? Because it has been a little bit dreary here in the valleys. But up in the Cascades, it's been amazing. Now, if you want new snow, this is not the pattern, but hey, enjoy the warm weather while we got it. We don't really have a choice. Look how dry it is. It's only 12% humidity up there. And believe it or not, there is a fire weather concern for a very slim layer of elevation above the fog where it's moist and don't have to worry about fire threats, and below the snowpack where it's been in the 60s and 70s. It's just been incredible. And I do mean 70s. There's a spot near the Mackenzie River, about 3,500 feet, got up to 73. Wanderers Peak, east of Silver Falls, 71. The Bull Run watershed, there's the remote weather station there, hit 69. Horse Creek, that is east of Sublimity and down that way, 67 degrees. Again, these are all remote stations, and Government Camp hit 62, so really incredibly warm throughout the Cascade foothills. And the valley's cooler, but Portland at 45, the average for this date is 47, so we were right there. But McMinnville and Aurora never got out of the 30s. Much of the valley did not. Eugene barely got above freezing. If you think about it, it's 36 because the fog so thick and so dense there. 50s and 60s on the coast. And look at Prineville and Bend into the 60s too, above any inversions in eastern Oregon. You see the fog really plainly on the satellite imagery. There's just nothing to blow it out, nothing to mix it out. This time of the year, the sun angle is so low, we don't get enough heating like we would in, say, even March, April, certainly. And then the summer months, if we have fog in the morning, the sun's going to just burn it up, and not this time of the year. So we need the wind, and that will kick in tomorrow. But it all depends on the timing, right? We may end up being foggy for a good part of the day. If the winds stay this light, 5, 6, 7 miles an hour through about 6 p.m., we'll stay foggy all day. And then I think at the latest tomorrow night, the winds ramp up like this, and that'll clear the air, get rid of the fog. But we'll have to wait and see how that part of the day goes on. Sometimes that east wind kicks in early, sometimes takes its time. Right now, visibility quarter mile in much of the valley. So that will slow you down if you are driving. You need to allow extra time and extra distance between the cars around you. Dense fog advisory continuing until noon tomorrow, and an air stagnation advisory in the Portland area right until Friday morning, although our air quality will improve as soon as that east wind kicks on in. So why? Why is it so warm in the Cascades and so foggy in the valleys? High pressure aloft in the upper atmosphere, and that's just blocking any storms from coming our way. And it's also got a really warm air mass above us, which is just putting a lid on the cold air trapped in the valley. So look at the fog in the morning here. You see it's still with us as we get into Thursday morning, but it begins to melt away and burn away as that east wind kicks on in. If we get a good cross cascade flow, then the entire valley will clear out of the fog. But look at this, it has staying power. We don't really see this break down, this high pressure system, until Tuesday, Wednesday, even Thursday of next week. So it's going to stay dry and very mild right on through the holiday weekend and beyond. Portland right now, hey, the fog has lifted a bit. This is as good as it's looked all day long. 45 degrees and cloudy as opposed to foggy. Freezing level at 12,000 feet, which is insanely high for this time of the year. So fog overnight, fog in the morning, and then sunny as the east wind kicks in. And if it breaks through the east wind soon enough, then we make the mid-50s like this. If it hangs on until sunset, we'll be like 47 instead of 57. But either way, by Friday, we'll be sunny and 56. Saturday, 54. Just a beautiful January weekend with sunshine and high temperatures in the 50s. Lows generally above freezing. The east wind will weaken a bit this weekend, but by then we will have dried out the air mass enough that we should be able to stay clear through MLK Jr. Day on Monday.
Yeah, some really nice days coming our way. It's great to see.
Yeah, it is nice.
Thanks, Matt. Measles is surging with hundreds of new cases and some with no clear source of infection. Who experts say is most at risk. That's next.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
In health headlines tonight, the concern over measles is growing, especially in places like South Carolina, which has more than 100 new cases. Ann Thompson has the latest.
A growing public health alert in South Carolina as measles cases surge. 124 new cases reported since Friday, the statewide total now topping 400. According to the South Carolina Department of Public Health, the outbreak is mostly spreading in the northwest part of the state. And while some cases can be traced back to travel or close contact exposure, others have no identifiable source back to infection.
I think the thing that will help stop the spread is obviously two things. One, vaccine, and then two, just information about community spread, because this is such a smart virus. It is incredibly contagious.
And it's not just South Carolina. Georgia reporting its first confirmed measles case, an unvaccinated baby who picked up the virus traveling internationally. The child too young to receive the vaccine. In Oregon, officials racing to find those impacted by two newly confirmed measles cases, the state's first of the year.
One case of measles can affect up to 12 to 18 different people who are susceptible, meaning not vaccinated or don't have a previous history of measles.
And now a warning for travelers in one of the nation's largest cities. The Philadelphia Public Health Department reporting a possible measles exposure last week at the airport, 30th Street train station, and an Amtrak train. Officials saying it was a preschool-aged child who also traveled through Maryland and Washington, D.C. before being taken to a hospital in Northern Virginia. While the Philadelphia Health Commission says they believe there is no threat to the general public, it is still concerning for commuters.
It scares me to death because I'm in Philly because I have cancer and I'm here getting treatment.
NBC's Ann Thompson there. Okay, also in health headlines, a new study shows small changes in diet, exercise, and sleep when combined together may extend a person's life by a year. Larger changes could add as much as 9 more years of life. Researchers say the keys are: number 1, eating lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and fish. Number 2, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. And 3, exercising between 42 and 103 minutes daily. That's pretty specific. The researchers at the University of Sydney in Australia analyzed data from what's known as the UK Biobank, which followed about 60,000 people over an average of 8 years. Still ahead, we are still some 3 weeks out from the Winter Games, but the headline tonight is the Summer Olympics. How you can take the first step right now towards scoring a seat to LA 28. That's next.
KGW's Evening News. Important stories to help you stay informed and keep your family safe.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Pitawanich.
And I'm David Molko.
Weather impact alerts to help you plan your week.
We need to be extra careful with anything that can throw a spark.
And a team of local journalists connected to our community. David Molko, Christine Pitawanich, and Matt Zaffino. Your Evening News team, tonight on KGW.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Welcome back. Ticket registration is now open for the LA Summer Olympics. Yeah, we are talking about 2028. Here's how it works. First, Register starting today on the LA28 portal, then find out via email if you've been assigned a time slot during one of the ticket drops later this year. Then, if you are lucky, you'll have a chance to buy tickets during said designated time slot.
We've got 1 million tickets at $28. Every single event, every session, which means even gold medal men's basketball has a ticket for $28. And a third of our tickets are under $100. And 2/3 of our tickets are less than it costs to go to an NFL game in Los Angeles. And
He's really selling it, isn't he? The window to register lasts until March 18th, so no rush there. But let's not get ahead of ourselves with the Winter Games, of course, set to kick off 3 weeks from Friday right here on KGW. And despite concerns a recent injury would keep her out, gold medal winning American snowboarder Chloe Kim says she is good to go for Milan Cortina. Kim recently dislocated her shoulder while practicing in Switzerland, and now she says her torn labrum, ouch, is not as bad as first thought, though it'll take, of course, some time to heal. Kim won the halfpipe gold in both 2018 and 2022. She's now looking to become the first woman to win 3 consecutive Olympic golds in that event. Don't forget, all the action kicks off from Milan Cortina live on Friday, February 6th, only here on NBC and KGW. Oh, check this out. The U.S. Navy Blue Angels team is officially in Seattle, part of their preseason planning for the 2026 Boeing Seafair Air Show. The visit included all the pilots in the iconic FA-18 Super Hornet. Seafair started in 1950 as a 10-day water festival celebrating Seattle's maritime heritage. The Blue Angels joined the fun in 1972. This week, the team plans to meet with community leaders and plan out the show.
I do enjoy coming out here, and there's a relatively personal tie to this area of the United States. So we're excited to come out here, perform our flight demonstration, and just interact with the general public.
Loved watching them fly as a kid, still do. Seafair will run July 31st through August 2nd. Talking about the summer, we'll stick around for another full hour of local news and weather coming up in just 2 minutes. In the meantime, check out the foggy view once again. It's been like this for 24 hours down in Salem. Your top stories are straight ahead.